Do you remember the first time you saw a dinosaur? First time you see them, it's like a miracle. You read about them in books, you see the bones in museums, but you don't really believe it. They're like myths. And then you see the first one alive.
Hello and welcome to today's video where we're going to be taking a tour of the Rainforest Reserve, which is a park in Jurassic World Evolution that I've spent a lot of time on recently and one that I've put a lot of effort into as well. Now this park is a mashup of kind of two ideas. As you know, I quite like to have like themes with the parks that I build on the channel, and this one is sort of a combination of two. The first is a reserve or a kind of like Dinosaur Sanctuary where all the dinosaurs have either the rainforest skin pattern or the jungle skin pattern. And the second is sort of it's more like a story element to it, and it's that the Dinosaur Protection Group or Clerdarian and the DPG managed to rescue the dinosaurs safely from Nublar without needing to go to Eli Mills and Benjamin Lockwood. And so the events of Fallen Kingdom didn't take place, and the dinosaurs were rescued and sent to this resort instead. Now, obviously those two ideas don't quite sort of match in the sense of all of the dinosaurs having rainforest or jungle skin patterns means that it's not really canon to what's going on in the films, because, you know, none of the dinosaurs in those films had those kinds of patterns, and also a lot of the dinosaurs that are in this park never had they were never in Jurassic World or Fallen Kingdom or even present on Nublar at the time of all of that happening. So while it is kind of they don't make too much sense, like I said, it's just a theme. It's just kind of like a loose idea that the park's based on. And I like to try and have fun with it rather than make it too accurate. So yeah, just before anybody comes at me in the comments saying that wasn't in Jurassic World and this wasn't in Jurassic World, and yeah, it's loosely based on that. If you can think of like a way of explaining that, like why all the dinosaurs are different or why they've got rainforest and jungle skin patterns, I'd love to hear them in the comments. Like, let me know what you think happened for the dinosaurs to end up on this reserve. I personally would say it like this. I would say maybe they rescued the dinosaurs from Nublar and they were, transporting them to here. And, they opened up the reserve and everything. It had to become profitable so that they could, effectively care for the dinosaurs, because otherwise there would be no funding. And some of the dinosaurs started to die off, or just from old age, and so they had to introduce new specimens into the park as well to sort of keep that care and funding going for the dinosaurs that were left. And so yeah, gradually they just phased out the ones that had no pattern on them, and they reintroduced these different new species with the rainforest or jungle pattern. That would be my take on it, so just let me know what yours is. That'd be quite fun to see what people come up with. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We'll jump straight into the tour, so yeah, hope you enjoy. Okay, so the first thing on the tour that I wanted to talk about was this massive DPG logo that I made using the pathing tools and the terrain tools. And yeah, it took me about 4 or 5 hours of game time to get this looking like spot on. Yeah, it took forever. And I'm really happy with how it's turned out. I think it was worth it. It's huge. So as you can see, just there in comparison to the greenhouses and the monorail, it's just massive. Tried to put some real detail into it, so you can see here, the eye looks like it's closed. That's just like a bit of a grey pathing next to the fancy pathing. It looks like the outline of the eyelid sort of thing. The plates themselves, they've got sand in to make the lettering stand out, and the lettering itself, it looks quite cartoony on the logo. So I've tried to copy that and make it look sort of not informal, just exactly like the logo itself. The plates took quite a while to get in the right sort of size and sort of shape, etc, etc. So yeah, it just took a long time to do this, but I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I think it's a really good piece for this park. I always see other people doing lettering and pathing and things like that, and it always looks so cool, so I thought I'd give it a try, and yeah, it's worked out nicely. As you can see, we've got a monorail just behind it, next to the entrance. We've got a couple of greenhouses, which kind of support that DPG paleobotany kind of theme going on. And there's a couple of viewing platforms there as well, which you can use to view the, massive sort of, I guess you'd call it a mural kind of thing. So that's all there. Then I want to move on to the two resorts that we've got here as well. So we've got the first one here on our left, which is, well, just next to the DPG logo, and this one would be the more expensive of the two resorts we've got, because it's got two hotels, a restaurant and a gift shop, but it's right on the aviary's doorstep, and so I figured this one would be more expensive, and the guests would be able to see, especially from the hotel at the top here, which is closest to the aviary, they'd actually be able to see the pteranodons from the aviary. So I feel like that would be just such a good experience, and yeah, I'm glad that was a nice little resort. There's not tons of sort of guest facilities on this island, I guess, because it's more like a reserve, like a nature reserve, than anything else. But yeah, I think that's a really nice little resort there. And then we'll just move over to the other resort, which is on the other side. Now this resort over here is a lot more basic. It's still got two hotels like the other one has. It's got a kind of a different atmosphere to it. Instead of being like a beach, kind of like a tropical vibe, it's just like a cliff. It's like a rocky formation. A couple of hotels, another restaurant and a clothes shop, but obviously no aviary. Now, any guest can access the aviary. The ones in this resort can still go to it, but it's just because of where the aviary is, which is why I think the other resort is slightly better. What I like about the resorts and sort of the DPG logo is that it's kind of contained to this upper area of the island, so which is perfect for a nature reserve, because you don't want, I would think anyway, you don't want guests sort of everywhere, with like lots of facilities and things like that all over the park, because most of it should be intended for the dinosaurs to sort of roam around and have their space, etc., because it's less of a park and more of a reserve, like I said. So what you would do then, after you've gone to your resort, or maybe just after you arrived, like whatever you want to do, you'd catch the monorail to here, and then you've got a few choices from here. So you can either catch the next monorail and go deeper into the park. You can have a quick look at the ranger station, the fossil zone, and the sort of petting zoo that I've got going on over there, or you can take the Jurassic tour. I think for the purposes of this tour, it would be best if we took the Jurassic tour first, so that's what we're going to do. Okay, so this is where the tour would start, and it's built onto a natural hill. This map is actually the 1993 Nublar map, and so yeah, when I started building this, this entire area was sort of like one big hill. I haven't really changed it or done anything to it to make it look any different to what it is. It was pretty much already in this sort of, this terrain was like, it's kind of like natural, and I just thought like it looked like a really good place to build a massive exhibit on. And I say exhibit, but this isn't really a proper exhibit. It's more of like I think this is more like what a nature reserve would look like. A lot of the park is done through the sort of guided tours, so the guests either take gyrospheres or they take the Jurassic tours to get around, but this one in particular, with the size of it, it's just so much bigger than all the other exhibits, and it's got so many species of dinosaur in, and it's got so many dinosaurs in. It's got different biomes for them to roam around in. There are feeders all over the place. Like there's just so many of them, and it's just really good. I would liken this exhibit more to a safari park than like a zoo. And me and my girlfriend actually went to a safari park recently in England. It's called Knowsley Safari Park, so just have a look at that if you've never seen what they look like. And that's basically an experience where you get in your car and you drive around the safari park and you look at all the animals. There's like lions, and there's rhinos and zebras and camels, and you sort of get a very close look at them, but they look a lot more comfortable than they do in zoos. You know, they have like a lot more room. It just seems a lot better for them, and that's kind of what the inspiration for this exhibit was. You know, the guests can still come and view all the dinosaurs, but they've got this sprawling mass of land that they can, you know, move around on, eat, drink, socialise, whatever. And yeah, I just think it worked out really well, especially for a guest perspective as well, because not only is it good for the dinosaurs, I think the guests it would take a long time to move around this entire exhibit, and they get a good look at tons of dinosaurs. And it wouldn't even really feel... It's kind of similar to the one I had in Coupon Park, where it was like a large sort of part of the tour. I think it was the last bit before the Ceratosaurus Hill. I think the different areas do feel distinctly different, so it doesn't really look like you're in the same place, but really you are. Let's go through the dinosaurs that are in this exhibit. So, there are tons, so you'll have to sort of excuse me. Around this area, not many dinosaurs tend to come around this area. There's always one or two. You can see an Edmontosaurus there. There are some Nasutoceratops just up on the road. I think over here, these are Sinoceratops, yeah. Down by the beaches, you usually get Gallimimus, Struthiomimus, see there. Stegosaurus usually hang around here. Some more Edmontosaurus, Euoplocephalus, Alora Titan. If we go over here, I'm pretty sure that over here there's also, and I always forget how to spell, how to pronounce the name, so I'm sorry if I get it wrong, but is it Gigantspinosaurus or Gigantospinosaurus? Uranosaurus, you can see one there in green just in front of the Stegosaurus. And there's another one up here on the ridge. So it's a really nice view for the guests as well as they go around. Like, look, you'll be able to see them walking along the top of that ridge, feeding, etc. Then the tour kind of comes around here, and the dinosaurs that kind of tend to reside up near the lake, a lot of them are sauropods because all the sauropod feeders are over here. But there are some other ones too. There should be Mutaborosaurus over here. Obviously, like you can see the sauropods, you've got Mamenchisaurus and Dreadnoughtus. And I think that's everything. I might be wrong. There might be some more. I feel like there's some Ankylosaurus in here somewhere. But I think that's everything. Like I said, there are just tons of dinosaurs. So no matter where you go, you will always see some. You'll always see different ones. And as well, like even though they usually tend to stay together, as you can see in there, I don't know if you can see over there, there are 3 Uranosaurus, but there was 2 near the beach. So they kind of get around. There's a couple of Chunkingosaurus as well. I've just saw them. There's one just by the lake there. And so yeah, they do tend to like stay together, but you will get 1 or 2 break off and go to different areas, which, you know, is always welcome because it makes the exhibit itself look more diverse. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The exhibit itself is really nice. I'm really proud of how it turned out. It's a really nice exhibit to actually take the tour on, because obviously you can go from a guest's perspective if you want to. And yeah, it's just great. I don't know if it's my favourite exhibit on the tour or my favourite part of the tour, but it's definitely one of them just due to how big it is. I'm sorry I can't kind of go around and show you all the dinosaurs up close, but as you can understand, with the amount that are in here, which I'm not even joking, it's probably 60, 70, maybe even 80 of them, it would just take too long. Like literally, we would never get around the whole park if we did that. So yeah, sadly we'll have to move on with the tour, but obviously you've seen quite a few panning shots and what it looks like, and it's a really cool one. So then when you come off the Jurassic tour, you've got 2 choices again. You can either take the monorail and go deeper into the park, or like I said, you can check out the ranger station, fossil zone, and the petting zoo. The petting zoo is, I'm not going to spend too much time on it because it's quite, it's quite a small exhibit. obviously in Jurassic World Evolution you can't have a petting zoo, so it's kind of like a makeshift one. There are no viewing galleries because it's meant to be more like a petting zoo, so the guests can look through the fences at the dinosaurs, or they can, you know, maybe have an experience where they can pet some of them, but other than that, like, that's pretty much it. What I like about this exhibit is, with the Jurassic tour we've just taken, that looks like quite a natural exhibit because of all the hills, etc., whereas this is very obviously man-made. You know, between the symmetry, where I've got the water on either side, and the sand, and then the grass in the middle, and the trees, and the rocks, because it's so symmetrical, it looks visibly man-made, and I think that's a nice contrast to the Jurassic tour we've just taken, which looks... Obviously it's man-made because I made it, but I mean, it doesn't look man-made, it looks like a natural hill. All of the trees and the grass and the different formations, etc., it all looks quite natural. And so I like the contrast between that and this. The dinosaurs that are in here, there are 2 species. So there are lots of homolocephaly, obviously in the jungle and rainforest patterns. You can see them all over the place. And then there are about 5 or 6 Stygimoloch. Now obviously if this was a real petting zoo experience, the Stygimoloch would not be a good choice because somebody would probably die. But for the purposes of this sort of... Because I can't make it into a real petting zoo, I put the Stygimoloch in here just to make it look a little bit nicer. And they do make it look nicer. I love Stygimoloch. If we were going to go off some kind of canon, I would just say, oh well, the homolocephaly are sort of brought out to the front here near the gate, and then that's where the guests can pet them, and the Stygimoloch will remain in the exhibit. But as you can see, there's tons of them all running around. They're very easily visible because I haven't put any terrain in here, like grass or vibrant or coastal or whatever. And yeah. It's just a nice little exhibit. It's definitely the most well, it's definitely the smallest of the ones we've got on the tour, and I think there's 2 exhibits that are quite like exhibits instead of being interactive experiences, and this is one of them. Even though it is an interactive experience because it's a petting zoo, it's still more like an exhibit than like the Jurassic tour or the Gyrosphere tour because, you know, you're looking at them from through a fence, or like, you know, rather than being like, I don't know, like on a tour. So yeah, that's that. And then you would take this monorail now deeper into the park. So we're going to do that in just a second. So if you can just see, the next monorail destination, it's not too far away, and it's the next stop on the tour. Obviously you'll be able to see a lot of monorails in the distance, and I'm going to explain that when we get to it. I don't want to explain it just yet. I don't want to give the sort of surprise away. You probably have already seen it when I panned before, but yeah, I want to actually like explain it when it's sort of its own thing. So you would get off the monorail and it's just a Gyrosphere tour. There is nothing else here, you know, there's no guest facilities, there's not even a restroom. You just get off, you get your Gyrosphere tour, and then you get back on the monorail and you either go back to the resort or you go on towards the next part. I've done that because obviously, again, like I've mentioned, it's more of a reserve than a park tour. Well, sorry, not a park tour, it's more of a reserve than a genuine park, and therefore I don't want it to have tons of guest facilities everywhere. I want it to be more for the dinosaurs. There is one area coming up that'll be more for guests anyway, so yeah, they didn't need anything here. So you would get on the Gyrosphere, and it goes around this way to the right, which is always good, but it always sort of annoys me a little bit how it has to go from the right. I don't know why you can't change it so that it can go from the left too, but yeah, it's a little bit odd, I'm not sure why. But anyway, this is the first exhibit on the Gyrosphere tour. You'll be able to see a goat running around, so yeah, this is a carnivore exhibit. In fact, every exhibit on this Gyrosphere tour is a carnivore exhibit, which is, you know, a nice sort of change of pace because you don't really see them that often, and we've just had a huge herbivore exhibit, so the guests will naturally be wanting to see some variety. And in here we've got Deinonychus, we've got a pack of them in the jungle pattern, I believe it is, and it's such a lovely pattern because it's this like, it's like a greenish colour. It usually looks a lot more bright and vibrant than this, but it's because of the nighttime like sort of hue that is making it look the way it is. But I do think that the nighttime sort of theme I've gone for is a lot better anyway, because of like the lighting and just the, I don't know, everything about this park just looks so good, especially with the rainforest and jungle patterns. I think it complements the night or the, well, it's not really dusk, is it? It's more like, it is more like night, but you've got the glow of the moon, etc. I just think it complements it really well. So yeah, there's a pack of Deinonychus in here. Obviously, they'd be fine with gyrospheres, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, it's just a nice little exhibit. There's not much to say about it really, other than I've tried to make it sort of both forested and like a beach, so you get a bit of a mixture. Then the tour moves on, and you go through this, the exit here, and the path kind of just swings around to the right, where you would then come out into this exhibit. And this exhibit is a lot more sort of forested. There's no elements of beach or anything here. It really is just sort of a lot of grassland and then a lot of forest all around with this sort of cliff formation. And as you can see there, we've got 3 larger carnivores. There's a feeder here so that guests can see them feeding up close. Need to grab a shot of them before they go into the forest. But yeah, it's 3 Albertosaurus, and they're all in the, I think that's the jungle pattern, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, these are really cool. This was my favourite pattern of them. Oh, you just gotta love, haven't you, when they walk right through each other when you're trying to do a video. That looks so professional. Yeah, this is my favourite pattern of them, like, immediately. I'm pretty sure this is, unless that was just the null pattern, but I'm pretty sure this is the pattern that was kind of like advertised for the closed Sanctuary DLC, and I just really like it. I think it suits them to a T. And yeah, it suits the Rainforest Reserve vibe really well. So, oh, there is a little bit of beach in here, I've just noticed. It's like around the water, but it's only a tiny, tiny bit. Like I said, most of it is forested. So yeah, there are 3 of them in here. It's a quite a large exhibit. It's definitely big enough for them. The gyrosphere tour is really cool because it goes like up and around this sort of like the cliff and the water, and then back down again. So you do get a chance to get a good look at them. And just behind that exhibit is the Hammond Creation Lab, as you can see there, and it also is just on the other side of the petting zoo. So there you go. There's just a bit of background info. So the gyrosphere would then come down the hill, and obviously you get another shot of the Albertosaurus, and they just look so cool. I love them so much. Then the tour moves on, and we go down this path here, and again it brings out into another exhibit. And this one it's quite interesting because we've had the Deinonychus, which was a mix of beach and forest, and then we had the Albertosaurus, which is pretty much all forest, and then we've had this exhibit, which is pretty much all beach. I really like this exhibit because the rock kind of extends upwards, so it kind of looks like a canyon almost, where it's kind of like very low in the middle, but it's high all around the sides. So you feel kind of enclosed, and I think that's a nice feeling to, well, it's not a nice feeling to have when you're in with carnivores, but it's probably the right feeling to have, you know, like to make the guests feel a little bit nervous, etc. Now, in this exhibit, you've got 4 Majungasaurus, and 2 of them are the jungle pattern, and 2 of them are the rainforest pattern. So, very contrasting. And I know people are probably going to think, oh, there shouldn't be 4 Majungasaurus together, but don't worry. You can always get around the social population requirements, whatever, with the Doctor Wu stuff. You know, you just bump up the stats, you say Doctor Wu mess with the genes to make them, you know, able to have 4 of them in an exhibit, and there you go. So I really like this exhibit. Like I said, it's really cool to have the cliffs, and then this sort of like beach sort of vibe in the middle. I think it looks really, really nice in the nighttime. I think it looks really, really nice with the Majungasaurus and the sort of skin patterns, and yeah, it's just a great exhibit. You usually get a good look at them as well, because there's virtually no forest in here. There is the large tree at the back, and there's a few palm trees, but for the most part, guests will always get a good look at the Majungasaurus that are inside of it. So moving on, we would now go through here and straight over into the next exhibit. The next one is not too far away, and this is my favourite of all the carnivore exhibits. We've got 2 baryonyx in here, and we've also got, if I can see them, I'm not sure where they would be. Oh, there's one. We've got 2 Suchomimus as well, so there's one of them. There's the other one. We've got the 2 baryonyx are rainforest patterns, and the 2 Suchomimus are jungle patterns. But what I love most about this exhibit is, I mean, I'm sure you can already tell, the water hugs the gyrosphere path so well that it literally looks like that's the only, like the only bit of land in here. So it looks very much like a swamp. Obviously you can see the different terrains I've put down around, like in the water, on the path. There's like grass forming, and it's a rocky path. It's got lighting on it, which really complements the moonlight and the nighttime kind of vibe. And then you've got the fish feeders in the middle, so that you can see the Suchomimus and baryonyx eating from them. Now usually baryonyx Suchomimus would not cope together, but obviously this is sandbox, so you can put whatever you want on, and they don't care about each other. But yeah, I just thought it was a really nice exhibit to have, because they are still technically, like, they can be counted as a carnivore, but well, actually, no, they can't be, can they? Is it because are they a piscivore? I never know how to say it. But anyway, that's not my point. My point is that they can be counted because they eat meat, so they can be counted with the Deinonychus, the Albertosaurus, the Majungasaurus for the purposes of this tour. But I just love the way the exhibit looks, because baryonyx, Suchomimus, they are animals that require a lot of wetland, and so I'm still keeping it kind of like a carnivore kind of tour, but they've got the exhibit looks so much different than the other ones, and it's quite distinct and nice and different. And I think as well, it looks like a ride. Like, it really does. I would expect to see this kind of thing like in a real park. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I really like this one, and it's just something different than usual. I didn't know that the water would hug the gyrosphere path so well, but it really does. And then you would come out of that exhibit, and that is the gyrosphere tour over and done with. Now, just one more thing before we do move on. I do love that these 4 exhibits are so close together, and you don't really notice it. I think if you was on the gyrosphere tour, you'd kind of feel like you was, I don't know, like you'd travelled a lot more than you actually had, but you've not really, because if you take a look here, from where I am, we've got the Deinonychus exhibit, sort of like top right area. Then you move on to the Albertosaurus exhibit, which is just right next to it. Then you've got the Majungasaurus exhibit here on the left, and then you've got the baryonyx and Suchomimus exhibit in the middle. Now, when you're in the in the Majungasaurus exhibit, you'd probably think it's quite far from the Deinonychus exhibit, but it's not. Obviously, when you're in the Albertosaurus exhibit, I don't think you would realise how close the baryonyx and Suchomimus are. I actually think the fences are pretty much connected. And it's the same with the baryonyx and Suchomimus exhibit to the Deinonychus. I think you wouldn't realise how close they are. So I really like how, it's quite a long and like winding tour, but it doesn't, and it would feel a lot longer than it actually is. And I think that's important for like kind of, making your parks, basically saving on space without it seeming like, that they're all right next to each other. So that's the end of the gyrosphere tour, and then we would hop on the monorail for the arguably my favourite part of this entire park. Okay, so this is my favourite part of the whole tour, even including the DPG side. Like, I really loved making this bit, and I think it's turned out well. And this is called Jurassic Stadium. So basically what I did was I took a lot of the monorails that you can place, and I placed them independently of the main line for decoration, for the aesthetic of it looking like a coliseum or a stadium. I put electric concrete around it. You can see it kind of like hidden among the monorails, and then it houses 2 Spinosaurus, one with the jungle pattern, one with the rainforest pattern. There are a few things to note about this before we go and have a look at it. One is that people on the monorail can definitely see in, which is so cool, because yeah, I can just imagine how cool it looks like from the monorail coming around. Second of all is that monorail station on the right there is the one next to the gyrosphere station, so this exhibit is right after it. Thirdly, I know it doesn't look perfect from above because I can already see imperfections, and I can see like areas where sort of the grounds made things uneven, but it's not about what it looks like from the air, it's about what it looks like from the viewing gallery, and from the viewing gallery it looks amazing, so like it doesn't matter about that sort of thing, it's just the aesthetic from the viewing gallery that counts. And then I think lastly is just that this is the only real exhibit on the island. Everything else has been toured so far, you know, the Gyrosphere, the Jurassic Park tour, or the Jurassic World tour even. And this is the real exhibit. It's the only one where, you know, the guests can't tour it. And that's because the Spinosaurus was just... It's bigger than the Majungasaurus, it's bigger than the Albertosaurus. I thought it would be kind of not unrealistic for it to have a tour, but it would be too dangerous for the guests, so I would rather put them in an actual exhibit. And even the fact that it's in a stadium or a coliseum, it's kind of like more traditional Jurassic World. It's a little bit like the T-Rex Kingdom from the film. And yeah, it's just a really cool idea. So and as well, it was inspired by two people. One was Evolution Square, because she showed us all how to use the monorails really well, and the other one was by Deck Tunix Inc., because he used it in his Helix Wars video, and then that was around the time I was making this, so I kind of, yeah, that was like the inspiration for this exhibit. So thanks, Deck. So let's go and have a look at it from the viewing gallery. So if you were at the viewing gallery, or just a little bit behind it, this is the view you'd get when you're walking up to the viewing gallery. So again, I think it looks very much like a stadium already. And then you would just go through here. We're going to like we're going to perch on the top of the viewing gallery. But from here, it looks amazing. Like it really does look like a stadium. You've got the two Spinosaurus visible in sight at all times, pretty much. They really go off into the forest, really. You've got that nice river in the middle with the rocks, and it's all beachy, and it's, you know, it's quite forested, etc. It looks quite tropical. There's a carnivore feeder right in front of us, so the Spinosaurus will always come and eat here in front. And then you've got the monorails around the back and the sides. And with the lighting and the glow of the moon and just everything about this exhibit, it just looks perfect. And I do think it looks like a stadium or a coliseum from a guest's perspective at this point. So if you're looking from the viewing gallery, I just think it looks like a stadium. Like I said, you can see the raised sort of hill at the back, all the trees and the forest, and then the sort of the stadium around it at the back and the sides. I think it just looks perfect. And then you can see the monorail coming round as well. So yeah, I really love that exhibit. It took me a long time to make, but they are fairly simple if you can sort of get the hang of it. You just have to get the hang of how the monorails work when you're placing them first and foremost, and then you'll be able to quite easily make a monorail exhibit or a stadium like I've done. And yeah, that's the last exhibit on the tour. I think the only last thing that I want to point out is just this little guest area that I've got. So the monorail comes around here and it stops. There's an ACU centre at the back over there in case the Spinosaurus do get out, because they're the most dangerous, you know, of the lot. Just a nice little path design. A couple of guest facilities, because obviously at this point there's not been any guest facilities up until now, so most of the guests would probably be hungry, thirsty, etc. by this point, and so they could come to this area. And also it's a stadium, you know what I mean? If it's a stadium, it kind of needs those facilities as well. So yeah, I thought that fit really well. And that is pretty much it for the tour of the Rainforest Reserve. So if we just have a quick look at it, you know, in general, from like a bird's eye view kind of thing, you'll have already seen it panning at the start of the video, but it's massive. I think it worked really well for the purposes of what I was going for. It took me a long time to make this. I'll actually have a look in a second at what the playtime on it was, but I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I hope that you all enjoyed this video and, you know, enjoyed seeing what it was like, because I loved making it, and I loved talking about it as well. So I've just checked the playtime on this one, and it's 13 hours and 44 minutes, so it did take me a long time to get through this entire park build, but like I said, I loved every minute of it. I love building these parks, I love talking about them, I love showing them to you guys, and I just hope that you enjoyed them because, you know, or you enjoyed them as much as I enjoyed making them, because that's what it's all about, really. So just let me know in the comments if there's, you know, what your favourite part was, or if there's anything you want me, you know, you think I could have done better or differently, or whatever it is you want to comment, just let me know. Hopefully I'll be back with a video soon. I think I'm going to be doing a review of Prehistoric Park, but that might take me a long time to review, so, you know, obviously just bear with me on that one. But hopefully I'll be back with a video soon. And yeah, just like I said, thanks for watching if you got this far, and I hope you enjoyed it. This is the Fossil Fool, signing out.